Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor Hamza. Thanks for tuning in, guys and ladies. I appreciate you spending your time with me. I'm going to try to make this a tight one, a small one, a quick one. All right. First of all, I'm going to speak to the title, get that out of the way if you're interested in that, and then move on to a couple of quick subjects I thought I'd talk about, and then sign off so you guys could have something else to do. So, just in my feeling, what I get from my higher self is that the CERN being turned off is really some of the governments of the world came to realize that there is a Mandela effect. And the real reason that CERN has been turned off, the other reasons are somewhat true, that they want to upgrade and all that. And I feel like one of the reasons are they want to analyze the Mandela effect and see if it is being, CERN is being one of the factors in it. So they turned it off for a few years to see if it is. Now, there are other particle colliders out there, so this is just what I'm getting from my higher sources. Hi, Mandela Mile. Peace, man. So I just thought I'd share that quick thought with you. Some other, events that are, going on right now. We have the big eclipse of the moon coming on the 20th and 21st. There's going to be some, I'll tell you right now, there's going to be some higher Schulman frequencies going around then as well. So you're going to see some, crack my neck here, see some big changes coming on then. According to some of my astrological friends, they're saying that this is a time for you to quit your job if you have it. I hope it goes in reverse next time. Yeah, well, this supposedly is like something like back in 2011 when we had the eclipse back then. It's a mirror of that. So how you want your, how that energy was back then, it's going to be kind of same kind of thing. But the names, yeah, you were just mentioning your names and your family, Mandela Mike. Did that change? Well, that's very interesting. We could talk about that for a minute. I have a couple things I wanted to say, but let's give me a minute and then comment on that, and I'll definitely address that because I try to do these in open forums so we could talk about it. I do these live. Um, you know, I've been at this a long time, over 30 years, 40, probably my whole life, really. When I say a long time, what I've been at is thinking about the ascension, those kind of things. I had two names of four change, and I'm 2 days older. I know what you're saying there. I shrank an inch, my jaw changed, I noticed all the changes. So, speaking about the Mandela effect, I try not to. Like, I'm being, kind of my higher self's telling me not to talk about it and talk about more ascension things for people. I think that's more helpful. I don't want to scare people, but I have noticed all the Mandela effects. When I say all, I mean I see all of them. And then other people, mention one. I'm like, yeah, I see that too. So whenever there is a real one, and somebody says that, there is there. I'm like, damn, they caught it. Yeah, they got it. But I'm pretty current on everything going on, and I know all of them as they happen pretty much. And then I see other ones that people bring to me, and then I'll see ones that I saw and someone else sees pretty much the same time. So I do think there's a wave, and most people are. If you're up on it, then most people are catching it. There's other waves that people see that are yeah, I believe you 100%, Mandela Mike, that you see them. A lot of them too. I think a lot of people are on now on a current wave where we're all seeing them pretty much at the same time. Although I try not to stay plugged in sometimes at all to all social media and things like that. I'll disconnect for a few days and I'll still come about that. I know certain things. Anyway, there's this wave and all that. So I say like a wave. I don't know. It's just something I just saying out loud, but it seems like there's a, it comes in waves. And when you see, you know, certain ones that transpire and there's other people that don't see it, it can be rather, frustrating for a lot of people, but that's just the way it is. I just wanted to, and then let's circle. I'll do my thing, what I was doing with my fingers. Let's circle back to that. So I'll put a mental note. I'm still getting over my sickness. But I was saying about the eclipse, how a lot of things are going to be changing for certain people. You're going to be losing or gaining those connections. I think that's like a a big thing that's transpiring. A lot of people are get flipped out with the energy when we do have that. Definitely, a lot of things are connected with the moon. I've noticed that from long, long time. The I made a video about that. If you flip back in my videos about the yin yang, I talk pretty extensively about the moon energy. If you're interested, I get pretty deep into that. So check it out. It's not a long video. With that said, just want to talk about that. Oh, is the wolf blood moon for you new for you? Okay, so here's how I approach it, Mandela Mike. The way I approach these kind of things now, I try not to influence them at all. Just to tell you exactly what I'm doing out loud, I try not to influence them at all, and I try not to look at what the date will be. So I hear there's an eclipse coming up. I don't pay attention to date. I let it kind of sort itself out, and I really almost on purpose don't look at what date it will be. And then, finally, I'll try to ignore it. And finally, I hear it's on the 20th and 21st. So I'm like, okay. I did that on purpose because it can be unsettling when I see, like, I notice things like, oh, it's going to be on the 18th. And then I'll see, like, I'm just saying, for instance, and I'll see later it's going to be on the 24th. Oh, it's the 17th. Oh, it's the 21st. And then all of a sudden, everybody sees on the 20th. So it seems like it's like a timeline, effect sometimes with these kind of things. I purposely let it the energy kind of settle, and then like I'll pay attention to it more. I know that sounds really weird, but it seems to work for me. So it's like, you'll let the wave, kind of wash over you and like settle a little bit, and then settle more and settle more. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll look at you now. So, that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm adjusted to how things kind of transpire and sort themselves out. So I try not to pay too much attention. And like, for instance, the name, it's not, the wolf moon and this whole thing. Everything could be a Mandela effect, like the all moons, no matter what. Yeah, I feel them too. The thing about, and other people are saying, Mandela effect, all, end of the month, there was always kind of like a dark moon, like an eclipse. There was always one, right? That's what people are saying. To me, I see, Mandela effects everywhere. I remember the word blonde being BLOND. There was no E at the end. Now there's an E. I see a lot of things. I haven't mentioned that till right this second to other people, but I'm always, people that know me are always like, gee, you're such a bad speller. I'm really not. But hey, long reach one, I'm blonde. See? So you're BLOND. I didn't see a E at the end. Now there's always E's, and there's always been E's, and it's like I'm always spelling it wrong, and I'm like, oh my gosh, which reality am I in? Hey, long reach one. So, and there's a whole other big, huge theory. I'm not ready to release it yet, but I did do some a lot of experiments about the Mandela effect. And yes, there's a way to do experiments. And I came to some startling conclusions. This really isn't the time or the video to talk about it. Maybe after the next, when the eclipse happens, I'll bring it up. But my higher self told me, don't, I can mention a little bit. Not trying to tease anybody, but I really do have some interesting things to talk about concerning it that no one's ever talked about before, and a way of looking at it, and I think it'll make a lot of sense, right? So, and again, I'm not trying to tease anybody. Just have a little faith with me in what I'm saying. I think when all the other energies settle out, is the time we can talk about more. What I was going to talk about is the. I know I'm not trying to be a jerk. I really am not. There's always a time and place for certain things, right? What I was going to talk about a lot is, vibrational energies and what's happening right now. Um, what I've found is certain, like, always certain when you're on a certain frequency, there's people that just can't hear you. They can't understand you. I've talked about this before. Like, it's like kind of like going into the party and nobody talks to you. Certainly have that effect. YouTube booted two of my subs. I don't know who yet. I'm gonna look at your. I don't know if I'm getting yours at all. I'll have to check. I don't think I am. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. This is kind of like what you're saying. What you're texting me is kind of like, I don't know if you guys can, who are seeing this later, can see what they're saying to me. But what I was circling back to is spammer subs. Oh man, there's so much bullshit out there, right? Um, so what I was saying is, I've been doing this, not to exaggerate, but really since I was born. Always, like, there's things in my life, like I would be like 9 years old, and I'd be in the grade school library, and there'd be a book like on I don't want to say magic, but kind of like magic. It would be like real magic, like, like, if you open this book, there may be a perilous. There's may be parallel to your life, but contained in here are all these ways of energetic states and things like that. So I'd be like, and I'm like, I think I was like 10. I'd be in my grade school, like fifth grade in the library, and I'd be like, So I'd like take the book out, I'd read it cover to cover, and I'd read it over and over and over, and I'd kind of memorize all these things about energetic states and all these kind of interesting things, and I'd be like, wow, and I'd put it back, and then later I'd go to take it out again, and the book would be gone. And I'd talk to the librarian. And I'm like, "Where's that book that was here?" And I'd have it all memorized. And I'm like, "We never had a book like that." And those kind of things would happen to me all the time. And I'd be like, and then I was just like, "Oh, okay." And I was a kid. What do you know? You're reading a book about like enlightenment and things like that. Those things would like come to me. Like I'd find a book. Like when I was a real young kid, I'd read it, and I'm like drawn to it. I'm like reading it and put it back. It's like it's from a parallel dimension. It just like vibrated into my reality. I'd read it and like suck it up, and then it would like disappear. So I'd see like things like that like happen to me, for a long time, and it just seemed like normal to me. Like I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know where the book went. I thought maybe one of the hippie teachers put it in the library to see if any kids would read it, and then like took it back. I don't know. I don't know if you're talking to me. How's my neighbor? But what I was saying is that I'm happy. Like I've been looking at people talking for years about, I don't want to say new age subjects, but about enlightenment, things like that. And a lot of this has always been from negative backgrounds, from negative people. Like they always have some hidden reptilian agenda where they're sucking you in, but then it's kind of something. There you go, Teletubby book from somebody. That's funny. You borrowed a Teletubby book from somebody. Okay, so watch out for the guy with the rainbow on his cover. No, it's just no kidding. So anyway, what was I saying? So I've been seeing them, and it was always kind of a negative agenda thing. I think since the new Earth, and since we've came into this new reality, versus the old one, which everybody's kind of forgotten about before. It still like flips me out every time I look at a map, because I remember I have a really uh, um, almost, I would say, pretty much a photographic memory. And then when I see maps, it just still bugs me out or anything. So I know, no, right. So when I'd look at maps and things like that, still bothers me. But what I'm saying is, before there was more of a reptilian agenda like everywhere, and that seems to sorted itself out. So those kind of things are like, I feel like those things, if they've permeated into our, maybe they've gotten deeper, but it seems like those things have sorted themselves out. And the people that I've seen, the teachers that I've seen, there's some newer ones out there, are very good. So I'm saying to you guys, keep it up. uh okay, I'm seeing the chats. I'm not sure what you guys are probably talking amongst each other. That's cool. So what I'm saying is that I've seen a lot of newer, teachers, and I'm really digging their stuff. I like what you guys are, doing. I'm encouraging you. I think that when we link up, I think it's even more powerful, and I'm not against that. I'm more, online. Before, it was always everybody's always out for themselves, and I feel like the energy's kind of syncing up together a little more. So now we can interface with other people and talk about these things for greater, wisdom for everybody. So it's like everybody's kind of getting on the same page now, where before, what I'm saying is, like, it's like you walk into a room and you're talking and nobody could hear you at all. We're getting to a different vibrational state where now more people are able to hear you and understand you, where before I'd be like, speaking about stuff, and literally, like, no one understands like a word I'm saying. They're like, what are you talking about, vibrational state? Like, I've been doing this a long time. Like I'd be talking about vibrational states like I'm 20 years ago, and people like, what? And now it's like it's more of a common ground where everybody can understand what I'm saying, and they kind of, I'd be on Facebook or things like that, explaining I'm not talking about vibrations like the Beach Boys, or uh you know or that kind of stuff, or in the hippie movement. I'm talking about the different vibrational state, like, and like, I'm aware of the fact, like, Tesla is almost a Mandela effect. Like, from my old reality, Tesla, we never even talked about Tesla. Like, he, and now Tesla's more respected than, Thomas Edison. All these kind of things have, flipped. I mean, we all, see that, who are aware, and that's kind of in all the people have invented, yeah, I know it's a literal vibration. It has to do more with, Kundalini is the way I really refer to it, for a vibrational state. So when you have there's different chakras, and each chakra corresponds to a different vibration, which is correlated into the body. So when you have a different, see, I'm going off on a tangent, watch out. So when you have a certain vibration, like, for instance, I know Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb anymore. It's like a tragedy, right? Eli Whitney and all this other. So when we have these different, vibrational states, there's different ones, like the first chakras into survival, and there's other, vibrations. For someone like me, that I can actually literally feel vibrations, in my environment, and I'm sensitive to it, so I know I could literally feel vibrations. So, you know, it's hard to explain, but when you get sensitive to it, and synthesized, is that's the word I'm saying, and you get, you're sensitive to it, then you could feel other people's vibrations, and then, uh, yes, you could, you get involved with that. But what I'm trying to say is that we have the ability to, now there's the world has, 7.7.5 billion people. There's definitely room enough for, more than one healer, more than one teacher, more, we need more of them, not less. At a certain point we needed less because a lot of them are, misinformed, a lot of, and I see it now too, that a lot of people, come from the ego, and they don't know what they're talking about, and they're saying, oh, I'm a spiritual teacher. And it's like, I like want to grind my teeth sometimes at night when I hear, somebody saying that, and then they're just talking all this BS, right? But then there's other guys, I'm like, yeah, he gets it. He's saying what I'm saying, but a little bit different way. Okay, that's cool. So we're like, simpatico. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. You're saying the right thing, and everybody's saying it, a different way, and then I see like some videos, and this guy's like, he's saying, okay, I've been doing this now for a few years, and he feels drawn to it. Now he's doing it, but he's doing it the right way. I'm like, or she's doing it the right way. I'm like, okay, cool. I've had, it was like 5 years ago, I had people that said, I have, 5 years ago, I had spiritual teachers that would, want to sync up with me and maybe start classes and teach, for spirituality and things like that. But, I've been very selective over the years, and I really, try to sort through them and see what their agendas are, before I, want to get involved with it, even if I'm broke, even if I have nothing, and they promising me money for it, it's just so, so important to, what you attach yourself to, I feel like, for other people. Anyway, so, I'm more open to those kind of, situations now, because I've been seeing the newer, and these guys maybe are even older than me, but newer generation or newer people are vibrating into our worlds that are more, speaking their truth. Like, you could feel it, and so that's a cool thing, right? Um, anyway, so I thought I'd talk about that briefly. Talked about CERN and what's going on with CERN, because it was concerning CERN. It was that's strange, right? Concerning CERN, how there was one. How's the people around you now? Everyone got worse for us when we got together. They freaked out. I don't know if you're speaking with me or not. Let me know if you are. But I have. There was only one, collider, particle collider, and that was the one, CERN. There was only one, because it was like billions and billions and billions, of dollars to do. And all of a sudden they said there was more than one. So, that's the way it goes. There's more than one. Okay. And now then there was two. And I said, boy, that's strange. How do you get two? And all of a sudden, started noticing the Mandela effects that happened. And then, I was in contact with emailing a scientist at, in an American, Institute for Studies, back and forth. And I was talking about, at the time, they were doing gravitational wave research. So I was giving him a couple of my ideas about it. I tend to be connected to some scientists for some reason. We just all of a sudden start emailing back and forth a little bit, and I'll never hear from him again. And then, and we're talking about a gravitational experiment they had in the U.S. And then all of a sudden, there's a mirror facility built of CERN in the U.S. Like, there's one, I believe it's in Chicago, which is like, blew my mind. I'm like, we have one here, the exact same mirror image as the one in Geneva, in where CERN is. We have the same one here. I said, no, we never had one here, and now it's been here for years. Like, it totally like flipped me out. I was like, this is crazy. And then I found out there's 50,000 particle accelerators, and now they can make particle accelerators like this big, and now they particle accelerate food, and so I noticed all the Mandela effects, and those ones are really, I would say, bothersome, and I was like, that just is, crazy. So it led me to, I know a theory about black holes and universes, and when black holes are in universes, more universes will propagate when there's more. Um, Black holes are in smartwatches. If that's true, that's flipping me out, man. So could be. So there's a universe with a black hole. If universes in black holes with black holes, if a black hole is another way to make another universe, then the theory is that more universes would mean more black holes, and more black holes in more universes. So you would have more black holes in more universes, and so on. So what that means to be is, if there's a ability for a black hole in one universe could make would make two, for instance, black holes in another universe, then it would, travel on and on and on. And I think that's something like what's going on with us. So if that's the case, that's why we're seeing so many more black holes and so many more particle accelerators, is because these kind of things, in reality, they'll propagate and they'll make themselves more prevalent in our environment. So anyway, so that's one theory about why we see more particle accelerators. Just thought of that all off the top of my head. I haven't really thought about that, but anyway, so that, and then the about enlightened teachers, I'm really digging some of the videos I'm seeing out there. It's good stuff. I like more people are coming around in the community, and they're saying, positive things, which is really good, to each other, and I'm enjoying that. And it's been time for silence for a lot of people. I think it's time for people to speak their truth. And one of the things I was channeling from wherever, my higher self or whatever, tonight, is that when you're present in your moment, you have the ability for people not to take your power away from you. So when you're more present in yourself, and you're more present in your moment of now, then people are not going to be sucking that energy away from you, which I find is very, very, a powerful statement. So, and again, the way to be more present in the moment of now is through, I find, and it's true, meditation. So the more you meditate, the more spaces you'll find in between your thoughts, and the more you'll understand that you're not your thought, and then you'll have more empty spaces to be more you. And when somebody it bothers you, and and things like that, it won't bother you, or they try to take your power, you'll notice that you're not having those kind of things happen to you as much. So you're not going to get sucked into all that drama, because you're more present. So the more present you are, the more you're not being affected by all these other idiots out there. So I just thought I'd bring that up as well. And again, I wanted to make a pretty quick video, but this is 28 minutes long, so my apologies. But just wanted to talk about the wolf eclipse coming up, wolf blood moon eclipse. Like, could it get any more? We had some other ones that came up, really weird names. I was tracking the I really, at the time, before I started noticing Mandela effects, I felt like there was some really deep spirituality. Um, yeah, super blue blood moon, full lunar eclipse. Oh my God. Makes me cough and laugh at the same time. Um, so it's these kind of things. I think they're like waypoints for us to understand that these are more times to be spiritual. I think that with these kind of spiritual signposts that it helps people to understand, listen, at this date and this certain time, you're going to be more enlightened and more aware. I think these are positive things. I was looking at I really got into, the prophecies of the four blood moons for a while. I was born in the middle of four blood moons, so I thought that that was really, intense. That I was born in that time. I was watching, I was looking up the dates and correlating the data into, uh, you know, uh, tables and looking at it. And then I came upon that Jesus was born at the exact date of a blood moon, and then he died on the cross on the exact date of another blood moon when they had four blood moons in a row. So that to me was really astounding that these blood moons were happening then. And then when we had the big shift, Mandela shift. I haven't looked at the dates lately, but I think all the dates changed for the blood moons, which was another thing that's very strange, to say the least. But if I was going to tell you all the Mandela effects I've noticed, it would kind of flip you out. I've noticed all the, I study the brain. I noticed all the brain changes, the brain size, the brain density, the names, where the brain is, where the pineal gland is. I noticed all those, where the heart is, all the bones, all the shoulders, the kidney stones, how your muscles are shaped, muscles in the arms, muscles in the legs. My chin, nose changed, body structures changed. Noticed all that. I am aware of all those, and if it was just a timeline change, I don't think that that would be the case. That you'd slowly see it morphing, but there's a lot of ways you can interpret it, but the brain changing, you can see the folds in the brain. Yeah, you could say it's not your right. Someone's saying it's not your planet. What is your planet? Where were we? Sagittarius arm versus the, you know, obviously, but I think the vibration level, when it changes, it kind of morphs everything. And that's definitely, I've noticed lately, the big ones for me, I've noticed, I've been looking at, for instance, Cape Cod, noticed the land masses changed around pretty recently. There was a big Mandela effect for me. There was this island off of New York that was there in the 1900s that everybody would go to, and it was like a big thing. It was called Hog Island, I believe that was the name. And then it went like underwater and kind of disappeared. I never heard of a Hog Island before, and I'm pretty up on my history and my geography, and just the fact that there was this kind of place that everybody's going to spend a lot of money on. They spent $10 million at a time, called Hog Island. You could look it up. I would see these kind of things, and be like, wow. So that is a big thing. Um, I noticed, certainly more moons around Jupiter. And then one point, we were having this huge Mandela effect, and then I noticed that we had more moons around the Earth. We had five at one point, and that just kind of flipped me out so much that we had five moons. There were small moons, and then they kind of went away. And now they said there was one moon, but then there's another moon, but then there's smaller moons. And now in the Lagrange point, they said that there is not a moon, but there's a huge dust ball about the size of a moon and another Lagrange point. Wow. I see one of the comments, wow, he's really shifting bad. Like I said, I noticed all the shifts. Yeah, you guys, if you talk about shifts, you haven't shifted till you hung with me. You want to shift? Come over to my house. We'll do some shifting. It used to be you'd go out and drinking with your friends. Now you just come over and you go shifting, right? It's kind of funny. Uh, yeah, shift a good thing. So yeah, I've been seeing all the ones. The invisible butterflies are kind of like, always been. That's a pretty trippy one. Or when they say that there's a tree kangaroos are dying out, and everybody's like, "Oh no, the tree kangaroos," and I'm like, "What tree When did kangaroos start living in trees?" Okay, like what the heck, you know? So it's usually something like that. You'll hear, "Oh, these," like I said before, all these dolphins are dying out. I'm like, "What dolphins? Those never existed before." Gee, I kind of know my dolphin genus. I kind of know what's up with dolphins. So anyway, thanks for tuning in for so long. Appreciate your time. If Did you guys want me to talk about any certain subject before I sign off? Before I do. Uh, anyway, you guys are just joking around. But it's good to, keep it lighthearted. I know it can be a scary subject for some people, and a lot of people freak out and they don't want to. I tend to believe, and I thought this a number of times, that my videos won't get a lot of hits because it's too, people aren't ready for it and they're not open to it. Especially with, if I talk about the Mandela effect, they're just not on that wavelength, and they can't plug into it, and like you put it right in front of them and their mind's gonna like skid off. It's like butter on a hot stove. It's just gonna start bubbling and jump off. So I do recognize that if my vibration's a certain level, a certain higher vibration, that you could share this as much as you want and no one's gonna look at it. It's just the way it is. So when people are more, you have to be at the right level for it. Like if I'm here and someone else is here, then we're all on the same page. But if you're here and I'm here, or I'm here and you're here, we're not, there's no communication, there's no back and forth. You're not gonna understand the concepts I'm saying. And I try to speak really quickly, right? So neat stuff. Anyway, hope this helped one person understand something a little bit. I tried to do this for other people. Like, subscribe, share, as I always say. I don't know if anybody is. I always see about, usually after I do a video, sometimes I see 40 or 50 views, which is cool. Listen, 40 or 50 is better than nothing. And I see somebody that's, speaking garbage. They have 1.2, thousand or 12, thousand views. I'm like, what? He didn't say anything important. I thought, it's really not even my point of view. I feel like it's not my point of view, but I'm looking at it and like trying to be, take a step back and looking at it. I'm like, that guy didn't say anything. Meanwhile, I thought I said some really important stuff. So, but I want to, yeah, and that's why I always say, if it helps one person, it's worth it. I've been seeing a lot of interesting, what I get into, Mandela effects. I'm into crystals. Just saying, I see some really neat, here's a really neat one. I've been seeing some really, really neat crystals. Get away from targeting. Good luck. Targeting's everywhere. But I've been seeing like some really neat crystals. Like here's one where 3 crystals in one. There's amethyst, smoky, and clear quartz. It kind of like combined. So some kind of neat crystals I've seen, like newer crystals where we didn't have these crystals before. There's actually crystals called like spiritual crystals and things like that. which are, interesting. So I've seen Mandela effects in the crystal world, where if you're collecting crystals and buying crystals, I've noticed a lot of that stuff. New ascension crystals, new crystals are out there where there were not any, believe me. I've been in the crystal 20, 30 years as well, and nobody had these kind of crystals before, okay? You're getting some really high vibrational crystals that, popped into our reality where weren't there before, which is pretty cool. I mean, not everything's negative, a lot of it's really positive. But I'd be interested in anybody who wants to talk to me about anything. You can always comment. Thanks so much for any of the likes you give me. It helps out for other people to see that something's interesting and positive, because people are still have that hot herd community, and they don't want to waste your time looking at something unless somebody else said, oh, that was good. Maybe they'll scroll down and see the comments before they look at the video. So everything you do, helps out. If you share it on your page or whatever you have, helps out for people, help them to see that somebody else is out there trying to help. One last thing, I do a lot of healing. Um, where am I from? I'm in New York. Where I do a lot of healing, I do a lot of distance healing. If you're interested in the distance healing, you can always contact me. I have a Facebook page, Victor Hamza. I have a website, www, as you know, victorhamza.com. I've had that for a number of years. That some of my followers who I healed built it for me for free, and then they suggested all the things on it. And a lot of people I healed commented, put real comments on there. They're really from them. I didn't make it up. What I've done to help them, just to not brag about myself, but to lead others for healing. So that was the whole reason behind all this in the first place, is to help people find healing. So that's what I'm about. That's the reason that I started doing videos in the first place, not to talk about the Mandela effect, really, just to help people attain a higher spiritual level of awareness, for other people. That's not what, um, you know, I'm about, not for me, but for everybody else. Um, New York State of mind, yeah. Funny. Anyway, thanks so much for, stay positive with each other. Guys, if you're out there and you're one of these spiritual teachers, I appreciate you. Keep up the good work. Um, and you're on a mission. We're on a mission. I'm on a mission. I said in one of my other videos, it was like 5 months ago, I went and had a basically near-death experience again, and I got out of my body. One of the things when you get into meditation, you learn how to breathe. There's this breathing aspect where it's a whole thing with yoga, but if you go into the breathing, there's a part where there's no breath. It's a very, very, there's a yoga built up about the no breath. So I got into my no breath, which I've found that I achieve these states all the time for the last number of years, where you'll realize, when you're in a higher level of enlightenment, you realize, I'll look at my body and say, oh, I'm not breathing for a while right now, and I know it sounds crazy, but when you're in your energetic breath states, and then all of a sudden you realize you don't need to breathe for a while, and you haven't been breathing, you're just existing. So I do that. I was doing that for a while once, and I just went out of my body and was like, okay, I'm done. Check it out. Bye. And, I met my, guardian angels or spirit guides, and they were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not breathing anymore. I'm done. Things were rough. I was like, listen, I'm checking out. Thanks, guys. Peace out. I'm done. I'm leaving. And they were like, no, you have a mission. I mean, these are definitely the thoughts that occurred. And I said, I don't remember having a mission. And I was talking back to him pretty bad. I'm like, that's bullshit. Have you tried this breathing? Have you tried being a body? It kind of sucks. I want to be in a higher, because I'm going towards their level. I'm like in a higher state of being. I'm like, I'm totally done. and they reminded me about my mission and pushed me back in my body. So, reinvigorated me to do maybe some more videos. And, I'm back on mission because I was literally told, you know, that I have the mission to do. So I still have my mission to do, and the mission is to enlighten mankind, be out here and talk to you guys about certain things. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, you have a mission too. There's certain of us here that have the mission, and it's not bullshit. It's real, and none of the things I'm saying are really bullshit or imagined. And I talked about this in some other videos. I tend to delete if it's pretty deep and intense. It's too much. I'll delete it. I'll look back in later and say most people can't handle this, and I'll go back and delete it. I try to leave some of these up, but a lot of stuff I go back later and delete it. So, get what you can out of it. Watch it maybe once or twice. If maybe I talk really quick, maybe some things you'll hear later on that, didn't hear the first time. I said, oh yeah, maybe you'll hear, oh, there was a lunar eclipse and he said that this was going to happen right before it happened. And then, so there's going to be a lull right before with the Schulman resonance frequency, and it's going to go a higher pitch. You'll see that. I'm telling you for a fact. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Say, how do you know that? So you'll say, so you're going to come back to some of this stuff later. Anyway, pretty cool stuff. Yeah, higher dimensional stuff we're talking about, right? Anyway, thank you so much again for coming in. I love you guys. You guys are great. I appreciate all your comments, make me laugh during this a little bit. I want to get to where we have 50 people commenting once. It'll be a wild party, right? But we want to stay on target too and talk about the things that help people. But stay true to yourself. And remember, like I was saying at the beginning, I got this channeled up from my higher self, and I put this, on my Facebook page. When you're dwelling in your present moment, no one can take your energy away from you. So that is what is really important. When you're dwelling in your present moment of now, no one can take your energy away from you. So no one, you can, like I was doing counseling with my friend, one of my friends tonight. She has some real negative things happening in her life. And she's worried about confronting people and speaking her truth. So I was saying to her, be present in your moment. And I'm trying to get her to do meditation. It's so hard for me. It's like herding cats. Sometimes for people that do meditation, try to do it. Try to do a minute a day. But if you get that, and it's on my Facebook, on my website, I have a meditation. Try to do that. Do a minute a day, then do 2 minutes a day. It'll help you. And then you can be more present. And when you're more present, then people can't take your energy. And it's just so powerful. You could have somebody, really negative, and then they won't affect you. It's like, it'll change your life. Okay. And that's what it is. Change your life for the better. And then you'll realize, you could do away, get off of addictions and all this other fun stuff. So get rid of that. And then you'll have more fun, rather. All right. Love you guys. I've been saying goodbye for 10 minutes, so I'm going to peace out now.